Welcome back to day zero. My name is Ren Mars, still your host for today, and hopefully will be until the end. Hope the director doesn't have any changes in the middle of the show. That would really be heartbreaking. Also, did you guys know that if you went back to our timer clock screen, Naisu looks like a proud dad, looking like he's really happy and proud of his two children, Brigida and Sona. And yes, I definitely said that now so that Naisu can't react right away, and maybe later it might be a bit awkward if he starts reacting then. Before we introduce them, see, I told you. Before we introduce them, shout out muna sa lahat. Of course, we have a viewer from Indonesia, Jakarta, watching right now. Doesn't have a name on him, so I can't tell you exactly what his name is. But shout out to you. Thank you for watching. Carlos Pineda, the deputy esports editor for spin.ph, a box-to-box midfielder, if I'm not mistaken, based on his Twitter. What's up, Boss Carlos Pineda? Excalibur's also here. Craig Mitran, Carlos Dalisay, laging nasa Gedli. Ray Ashley, Son Minoel Lelis, Eli Jose, JM, sino pa nandito? Paul Adrian, what's up to you? Neil Joshua, and let's see, we have, Eli Jose also still here. What's up, guys? And yeah, let's bring in Naisu, Sona, and Brigida. Well, because now we're going to be talking about...
Hello, kids.
Hello. Hello, kids. Naisu, can you say, kamusta mga anak?
Kumusta mga anak? Mag-RIL?
Feel like I just got pregnant from hearing you saying that, but yeah, there. So nice to bring it over here. We talked about the teams really quickly, but now let's break down and talk about the groups more in depth. Let's start with Group A, where we're going to be seeing the MPLPH champions Blacklist International go up against Red Canids, Malvinas Gaming, and Bedell. Brigida, para sa'yo, of course, Blacklist International, we know how strong they are, pero sino yung isang team dito sa Group A na feeling mo baka may chance na sila magsusurpresa sa Blacklist International or will give Blacklist a very challenging series?
Well, I guess like the team with the most information din kasi na nakalabas as of the moment, it's Red Canids. And I think that they could quite give the surprise for Blacklist International. I mean, all the teams that Blacklist is up against here in this group, we really know little to no information when it comes to like how they're playing in the recent patches. Kasi, for example, as I mentioned, Bedell nga kanina, their last game talaga na yung be able to research on them was like 2 months ago. And I'm not sure if we've had 3 or 2 updates in the last 2 months. But like those 2 updates had a lot to really change when it comes to how we play the game. Like, during their time, it was the time when Popol Tank was still the meta, di ba? Right now, we barely see it being used anymore. And,
Tama.
well, I really think it would be Red Canids. But then again, Malvinas Gaming, Bedell, they have their own gulat factors din kasi in themselves. I mean, Bedell also, it was a team na used to do the Alice Avarice, which kind of made sense. But then that's what I was talking about, that they really like to play with the in-game elements. And so I'm excited to see how they're actually going to surprise, especially Blacklist. But then again, syempre Blacklist pa rin tayo, di ba? Pero kung magsusurprise, pero Blacklist. Pero hindi ko sinabing bias ako, pero Blacklist.
Okay lang? Okay lang yan. This is a Philippine stream. Don't worry about it. And Blacklist International naman, sinasabi naman ng mga ibang tao, analysts, coaches, even the other teams in Group A understand that kung makakalaban nila yung Blacklist International, Red Canids, Malvinas Gaming, Bedell, they admit that they will be the underdogs in that battle because it's Blacklist International. So Yeah, I agree with you there. It makes sense. Red Canids might be the team that might give Blacklist a bit of a challenge, or might actually challenge Blacklist International really well head on. But let's say they don't. Let's say Blacklist does end up winning Group A. Sona, para sa'yo, Red Canids ba, are they already clear for the upper bracket? Is it safe to say that, okay, along with Blacklist, Red Canids will be the one going to the upper bracket. Malvinas Gaming and Vidal won't be able to contend with them.
All right. There are definitely two answers here. Yes, if they still manage to go with their playstyle, the classic playstyle. Yes, they won in MPL Brazil. They won in Liga Latam, where Malvinas Gaming was actually part of as well. So it's going to be very essential on how they would be able to try and gauge. Because let's always remember that this is only going to be a best of one series. Anything can actually happen. So no room for errors, no room for mistakes. Bedel, Malvinas Gaming, if meron pa silang kailangan talagang ibuga, the group stage would finally be the time. Red Canids, kung mapaghandaan talaga nila yung Blacklist International, or if hindi man nila matalo, ang kailangan nilang paghandaan sa game plan nila is going to be Bedel and Malvinas Gaming for them to actually secure the upper bracket spot. So yes, it's actually a good chance for them, 60 to 70% if I may, pero they have to eliminate any room for error if they want to secure the upper bracket.
Well said. Best of one for all of the group stage matches. No room for error talaga. You lose a game and you might just lose a chance of getting into the upper bracket. But of course, no team will be eliminated yet during the group stages. It will just determine who's going to go into the upper bracket, the top two teams for each group, and the lower bracket, the bottom two teams for each group. So, Fidel and Malvinas Gaming, as being a team not from an MPL region, Naisu, do you think they have what it takes to give MPL teams a difficult time or give them a good challenge? Or will it be a rough wake-up call for them that, oh, so this is what it feels like to go up against an MPL team? Naisu.
To be honest, I think it can go either way. I think that the MPL teams do come in with an advantage. I think MPL as a whole produces some of obviously the best teams, the best players, and when you don't have that environment, when you go up against that for the first time, it might be a shock, right? And as you guys mentioned, it is, single elimination, but they will go to a different bracket, so they're not completely eliminated. But I think it's going to be a surprise. It's almost like, for sports fans, it's like a junior varsity going up against varsity, right? It's going to feel like that probably on the actual first game. But I still want to say that these teams are all here for a reason. They won their respective regions and their tournaments or MPLs, whichever, for a reason. So they should be able to adapt, but I think they will struggle in the beginning, and that's where you're going to see, can they adapt to those MPL teams, or will they kind of go back to, oh crap, it's on a different league, it's on a different level, we need to rise up to their level, right? So that kind of thing. I think it can go either way.
Yep. So that is Group A. Punta naman tayo sa Group B, the quote-unquote Group of Death, because you have Onyx Indonesia, Todak from Malaysia, Onyx PH, and Cage Stars, the runner-ups for MPL Brazil and Liga Latam. Now, this is a question for everyone. You can just quickly answer yes or no. We'll go with Sona and the Naisu and the Brigida. Do you agree that this is the Group of Death? Don't have to tell me why, just yes or no. So, Sona.
Nah.
Okay. Naisu.
I say yes.
Okay, Brigida.
Does it only have to be one group of letters? Yeah, I'll go with yes.
Okay, so for Brigida, this is a Group of Death, but not the Group of Death. Sona, bakit no? Bakit hindi to Group of Death para sa'yo?
First off, I think as much as I love Todak and Cage Stars, I think the sister combo in Onyx PH and Onyx ID got this one in the bag. They have that much of a firepower. As much as I want to commend 8 stars and props to King, I love that guy. The jungler who that jungler is actually the MVP of Liga Latam and MPL Brazil. So you better not count them out that fast. But I think Onyx H and Onyx ID is just on a different level right now. And as much as I love the jersey of Todak and I love everything that goes along with the concept of reverse sweeping, you know, if this is only a best of one, there's no room for reverse sweeping, and you don't have anything else to back it up once it's over. Like, once that one game is over, it's all over. So you really have to dwell on that, and I think I dwelt on that one.
You know, I agree with you. And Tekloy here also agrees with you. In the comment section, I don't agree too, let's be honest. Onyx ID is the only alpha there, like in Group A, which is dominated by Blacklist. I will, slightly disagree with that. I feel like Onyx PH can also be an alpha in that group. Pero, gets ko naman kung saan nang gagaling yun. Kasi at this point, a lot of the eyes are on Onyx Indonesia to possibly maybe even make it into the grand finals. They're a really strong team. Even Onyx PH, we all know Onyx PH are a very humble squad as well. Even they're saying that, they're not saying for sure they're gonna beat Onyx ID, but they understand the situation that Onyx ID, as of now, before the World Championship, might be the best team in the world. So that definitely makes sense, Tekloy, and also Sona with what you said. What about you, Brigida? You said that this is a group of death. Why is it a group of death naman para sa'yo?
It's actually quite the same with the idea presented kanina, in the sense na it's a group of death, pero like between the sister act. Kasi we've seen Todak the last M2 and the Kid Stars also. We have some sort of information regarding them, but really Onyx PH and Onyx Indonesia, all eyes are on these teams. And it's hard to imagine a scenario where after all the preparation that could go before the M3, that either Todak or Cage Stars could take away a slot from the upper bracket from either of these teams. So that was quite the struggle when I was trying to decide whether I'd say yes or no. But I'd say yes, because again, between the sister act, of course, looking at these two hedgehogs. Are these hedgehogs?
Yes, they are hedgehogs.
Yeah.
Okay, they are hedgehogs. So looking at these two hedgehogs, natutusok na ako. Ano daw? Wait, wait.
Alam mo
Okay.
minsan, pag nasa MPL recall tayo or like for shows like this, sometimes when I talk to Sona and Brigida, parang nagpe-present kayo sa akin na parang prof ako. Mga boss, hindi po ako prof dito. I feel like I'm in a class.
Moving on to the next slide. May ganon.
Okay, so moving on to the next slide. But before that, Naiso, just want to get your thoughts on something that Sona said earlier about it looks like this is going to be a group dominated by Onyx ID and Onyx PH. What about you? Do you think that how do you think Todak and Cage Stars will fare against the two Onyx teams?
I think they're going to struggle, honestly. I expect both Onyx teams to come out, winning in this group here. Nothing against, Todak and Cade Stars. I just think that they, in terms of, all aspects of the game, if you just watch some of the replays and stuff, the level of play is varied. It could have changed in the past couple of weeks. That's one thing that could happen, but I just think they're going to struggle here. So we'll have to see how they go up against each other, and just overall. But I do wholeheartedly expect both Onyx squads to just come out on top of this one.
All right, I think that's a common thought amongst the community that there really is looking like a group that will be won by Onyx ID or Onyx PH, and that they will be the ones going to the upper bracket. Great comment here by Sam C. Group of Death kasi established na yung mga teams sa Group B. Yes. Pwede, pero yung ibang groups rin pwede maging Group of Death dahil walang nakakaalam ng galaw nila. No data. The teams need to solidify whatever strats they have since hindi nila alam kung ano kakaharapin nila. We have gone through 2 patches. I think there might be another patch coming up right before the World Championship. We did just get the Valentina patch. Valentina at one point will be available for the World Championship. She might be a game changer. Who knows? We haven't seen Amon used that much yet, but pros have been saying Amon is a little bit shaky in the pro scene. But Onyx Philippines also, as I mentioned earlier, some people have been sharing with us that they're looking really good sa mga scrims nila. They've, if I'm not mistaken, they've won a lot of their scrims. They're performing really well in their scrims. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the sister act will fare in Group B. Now, on to the next slide po. We will be talking about Group C. EVOS SG, See You Soon, Navi, and BTK. Now, kahapon, in an episode for Aral International Sessions, the casters agreed that even though EVOS SG are the champions in Singapore and that they are the champion MPL team in this group, they're actually favoring BTK and See You Soon to go into the upper bracket, and Navi and EVOS SG might be the teams going into the lower bracket. And for me, personally, ito talaga yung group of death. Kasi nung nakita ko yung group na to, naisip ko kagad, wow, this is gonna be a group filled with surprises. It might be one of the most fun groups to watch because everyone's just, we don't know what's gonna happen. Not even EVOS SG is coming out as the quote-unquote strongest team in this group. So now, what are your thoughts on Group C?
Dude, I'm so excited. Like, I was swaying my head a while ago. I was like, let's go, Group C, Group C, Group C, Group C. Come on, Group C, let's go. Kasi, I love Blacklist. I love Onyx PH. Pero kung titignan mo kasi itong group na to, it could go either way eh. Kasi this is a group of champions. And BTK won NA, Navi won theirs. See You Soon, of course, won Cambodia. And EVO Singapore was the champion of MPLSG. And I think it's going to be very essential on how they would be able to find their way against each other. Kasi BTK, they have Mobazane, they have the others, most especially Carti. I think Carti is one of the underrated gold laners in this BTK squad. While See You Soon, again, as I've mentioned a while ago, they really didn't have Hoove in the MPLI, and now I think they do have Hoove, which is going to be their main jungler, and they really play aggressively whenever Hoove is in the mix. So it's up to Potato and the rest of the squad, and of course a Navi to find their way between these two teams. And I actually agree with what you mentioned a while ago, where the casters were favoring See You Soon and BTK. But if EVOS SG and Navi would be able to actually get through the defenses of these two squads, man, this is going to be a jam-packed group for sure.
Yeah. And I have a question for the class. So class, raise your hand. Who here has watched a lot of... Bakit tataas ka na ng kamay? So na hindi pa nga ako nakatanong ng ng tanong natin eh. Ano ba yan? Okay. Mr. Sona, you're excited? Okay, so raise your hand if you've watched a lot of BTK VODs to prepare for M3. Okay. So Brigida hasn't watched that much BTK. Girl, I suggest you could watch a little bit more BTK.
Well, I see a lot of screenshots.
Okay. So, ano yung mga napupulot mo tungkol sa BTK? Kasi there's a chance din naman talaga, like, baka meron ka nalaman na, something interesting to share to BTK that we don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess not as much as those who watched the VODs already did. Pero, like, it's surprising kasi to see that they could really perform that way. I mean, we've just started talaga expanding talaga to like the farther regions of the, and it's not something na I would expect na agad-agad na makakasabay yung mga regions na talagang malayo and who weren't really part of the community since it began. But I'm really surprised with how BTK is performing, like based on the screenshots, like based on who they get to go up against each time. Yung inner Marites talaga na shock sa akin pagka nakikita ko. And kaya I'm this is actually one of the groups na I agree with everyone. Para sa akin, super exciting makita kasi there are a lot of teams na we don't know yet. And even if we know like something about these teams, we don't know kasi how they're going to perform when they're put against this team from another region who has a different play style, ganon. So, yeah, Group C, maybe the real group of death.
Actually, sobrang agree ako sa sinabi mo na, and I think that's one of the reasons why, especially dito sa Pilipinas, parang ang daming tao na nagiging fan ng BTK na bumalik doon sa VODs nila. Pinanood ko yung mga streams ng mga miyembro ng BTK. Meron na din mga Pilipino nagko-comment doon in Tagalog. I don't know why. It's a stream mostly dominated by English viewers. Pare, wala akong makakausap doon in Tagalog, pero there were times that they actually did set off conversations. So let's go, Philippines. Dahil sa lahat ng mga posts na ginagawa ng mga tao tungkol sa BTK, yung mga scouting ginagawa nila sa scrims, lumalabas yung mga inner Marites na mga Pilipino na, sino tong BTK na to? Ba't parang lakas nila? And yeah, there's, for good reason, people are really thinking that BTK might just dominate this group with how they played in the NA qualifiers and yung mga pinapakita nila sa mga streams nila. Now, other than BTK, in Aral International Sessions, the casters there said that See You Soon might be the other team that will perform really well here in Group C over EVOS SG and Navi. Naisu, what do you think about See You Soon? Based on what you've seen from them, like during MPLI, I know you got to catch it maybe a few times, heard a few things about them. Does See You Soon have what it takes to potentially actually be the team to come out on top here on Group C?
I think they're good. In terms of Group C, I'm also going for BTK here. But for See You Soon specifically, I think one of the big things is, if I remember right, they have a different jungler coming in. The main jungler is now back, I believe. So I think that's going to make some changes there. It's going to be effective for them. But with that being said, you don't know how that's going to work. I mean, the stuff we've previously seen from them. A jungler makes a big difference. Right, it can make a big difference. So, but they're also champions. They're aggressive, and they like mobility. I mean, they like high mobility, and I think that's really what needs. I mean, that's kind of how things are right now. Very fast, aggressive play, and whoever can execute it better than the other team usually ends up pulling it out. I mean, that's how a lot of these other regions play. It's only in the Philippines where we have the longer, the much longer average game time, I would say. Where in these other regions, they're much faster. So, See You Soon definitely is a team to be reckoned with. But in terms of Group C, I still got to give it up to BTK because NA.
Yeah, there we go. There's your. It's like you're a dual citizen, so you
I'm a
can
dual citizen,
actually
man.
say that I can support two countries. Pilipinas sa kaliwa, NA on the right. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yeah,
Laban.
congratulations to you that you can support multiple teams and actually say, hey, I am from both of them. We have questions here about their picks. Eli Jose mentioned something about Diggy, and back in I was watching a few VODs. I took notes here for a Navi. Diggy is one of the picks that Sawa, the roamer, plays. Sunset Lover might be actually going into the jungle kasi yung actual jungler nila si Marl wala si Marl, yung jungler ng Navi na sumabak dun sa CIS tournament, yung Mythic League. So it's gonna be Sunset Lover transitioning to mid, if I'm not mistaken. And then the other adjustments, we'll see. I think Nagib might be going into the mid lane. Defender, alam ko, XP laner talaga siya. So it's interesting. They played things like Baksha tanks. They played Lil. They played Sun for Lil twice. In that VOD I was watching, pero hindi ko pa yun natapos. So yeah, gonna be interesting to watch out for Navi. Now let's move on to the last group. Group D. Andito, ang King of Kings. RRQ Hoshi. Whoa. Is this Group D? Okay. I got a bit confused there. It's like, I don't know. Are you trying to tell me something? Okay. So Team SMG, champions of MPL Malaysia, winning their MPL finals with a sweep over Todak. GX Squad from the Arabian Major, RQ Hoshi, and RSGSG. Now, Team SMG is the team that a lot of the pro players and teams are looking at as yes, they're from Malaysia, but don't count them out. They've been injected with that Indonesian super serum, you know, because they got Coach James from RRQ. They had Sasa, if I'm not mistaken, right? Join in Team SMG. So, with Team SMG here and them potentially being one of the top teams in this group, how's it looking for the chances of RRQ, Hoshi, Sona, that sila ang magiging hari ng Group D? Can the King of Kings perform really well in this group and maybe even completely dominate?
You know what? I'm definitely gonna put my money on them, that's for sure. Kasi RRQ Hoshi, they've proven time and time again that they are definitely the King of Kings. Yes, natalo sila sa Blacklist International. Siyempre, it's Blacklist International, but what can we say about RRQ? RRQ has definitely been present in terms of a lot of MPL Indonesia finals, and now that they're here, I think this is probably the best place for them to be in if they really want to secure the games, because I think they can definitely take on Team SMG, given that Team SMG is like an Indonesian squad that is residing in Singapore, if I should say. And now that GX squad is here together with RSGSG, it's up to them, eh. Like I said a while ago, GX squad, the most mysterious of all the mysteries, the darkest horse of all the dark horses, and RSG here is going to try and get the gel with the rest of the group here, because it's gonna be a tough obstacle to climb if they're going up against RSG and Team SMG, which I think the two teams that will proceed to the upper brackets.
Okay. Brigida, GX Squad, and RSGSG. Now, RSGSG, they were also, if I'm not mistaken, they were swept by EVOS SG sa Grand Finals nila sa MPL SG, or I think it was a 4-1. But yeah, it was a dominating win by EVOS SG against RSGSG. And you also have GX Squad, a team that looked completely different from the Arabian Major. Some of them have been part of the organization, if I'm not mistaken. The others might actually be new members of the team. So, para sa'yo, how is it looking for RSGSG and GX Squad in this group? In a group that has Team SMG and RRQ Hoshi, do you think their surprise factor might actually help them a lot, or wala?
I guess they really have to maximize the surprise, the gulat factor that they could bring to the table, especially as they're up against teams that you could really gather a lot of information about or regarding them. So RRQ, Team SMG, they were both in the recent MPLI, so plus na agad yon, and then you can get more VODs, and they're like teams who've been long part of the community talaga, so it's not hard to really prepare against them. But I guess these teams could just the same improve and keep improving, eh. As Team SMG, Sasa is back again, we said it. He wasn't there, no MPLI. They did the really surprising tactics. They went for the Granger gold lane, if I'm not mistaken. And things weren't so good for them back dun sa MPLI. But again, Sasa is back, and you just have to believe in the preparations here of GX Squad and RSGSG. It's been how many weeks for them since then? And I could see that all these teams talaga, they've been doing scrims all day, all night. I just don't know what to expect from all of them. So maybe their gulat factor could actually bring them somewhere, but it would take a lot of preparations, and it's not just gonna stop there, because they're not just going to go up against these three teams together with them in the group. There are like so many teams that you will have to prepare for in the entire M3. But for the group stage, it's really exciting to see how they're going to play.
Yeah. I also have eyes on Group D. Let's see how GX Squad and RSGSG will fare. Okay. Last question for Group D. Naisu, I'll give you the hottest one yet. Between Team SMG and RRQ Hoshi, which of them will get the most points in this group?
Oh man, hands down for me, RRQ. I like. I've been a fan of RRQ, but not only that, just the way they play. I go back to what I said before. I think yes, Team SMG is looking great. I think they're gonna have some surprises for us, but you're talking about RRQ, a team with massive experience, and they went toe to toe with who's seen as one of the best teams in the world. Obviously, Onyx Indonesia. And I think they're right there with them. I would put RRQ for me in the same bracket as Onyx and Blacklist, and I think they're gonna do just fine in this group stage. And for the entire M3, we'll see what happens, but they definitely have all the right tools.
All right, and there you have it, our breakdown for all the groups A to D for the M3 MLBB World Championship. We're also going to be breaking down Group D later on for RL International Session, so watch that. But we're not done for the day just yet, because when we come back, we'll be playing a game, high stakes M Trivia or M Trivia. I have to check with the director how to actually properly pronounce that. My name is Renmar. This is Sona, Naisu, and Brigida. Day 0. We'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere.